Here we go. Let's see. Here we are.
Wow.
Good
I might.
morning.
Good morning. I'm. I'd like to say the applause that woke me up, but I'm gonna need another cup of coffee.
Yes, well, I've had 2 cups of coffee already, which is, depending on how you count it, 2 double espressos or 4 espressos. I don't know
Wow.
how
Okay.
you count that, but look, there's all sorts of different types of things we do to stay
Hmm.
awake in the morning, and oddly enough, on your Workstand website, there are all sorts of different page types. So let's
Yes.
take a look at those.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, there's lots of different kinds. We'll kind of give a quick overview of each of them, and then we dive in deeper into ones that we people are using more. We recommend using more.
Yeah, so let's walk through. We won't dig into each one, as Susie
No.
said, but we'll just kind of go through. Then we'll come back and look at some of the more popular. So the responsive page is those are the pages you see most often on the site. So
Hmm.
that'd be like a service page,
Your home
your
page.
home page. These are all responsive pages, and all responsive means is it knows how to resize and format itself regardless of the device it's on, mobile or tablets or phones or desktop, etc.
Hmm.
Those are the pages you're going to use the most often.
Hmm.
So you'll be in there a lot. Advanced pages, before we had responsive, that's kind of what they did. So I'm not really sure why we've left this here, but don't use it.
Perfect.
Simple enough.
Catalog link.
Yeah, don't use it. Catalog link, super helpful. Think of these like a pre-search, and we've done other.
Hmm.
We've been deep diving on catalog link pages and catalog sections. So I'll put that link in the notes below here. But it's just a way to say I want these items to show on this page. So they're great
Hmm.
for quick landing pages for brands or categories of items or things that are on sale or gifts under $50 when it's a holiday season.
Yeah.
Event calendar. Google. This is a way to connect the Google Calendar to your Workstand website. It's pretty straightforward, and it allows you to manage that Google Calendar the way you always would, but then have all those changes show up on the Workstand site. You can actually even manage it from the Workstand site back and forth if you like.
Hmm.
The event page, we've had this forever and ever and ever. It's just an easy way to have one-time events, recurring events, etc., and just
Hmm.
in a simple list format.
Hmm.
Form pages, just what they sound like. If you want a form to collect some information, you can do that. This is the one we'll look at in just a minute,
Hmm.
but use them, sparingly, because you could end up with a bunch of form pages and collecting a bunch of data and not doing much with it. But if you need to collect some data, those are super helpful.
Hmm.
Hyperlinks to external pages. This is there's an external page. Maybe it's a organization you partner with, and you want to link to that page. But instead of just using a hyperlink somewhere, if you create the page like this using this hyperlink to external page type, then it becomes a page in the drop downs when you're trying to connect things, just like any other page. That makes it easier to work with on the site. Image page, exactly what it sounds like. It's just a way to put a bunch of images on there. I don't, not many people use these pages, and I
Mm-mm.
think social media has kind of taken over the function of these pages. But if you
Yeah.
do want a page full of images, there you go. PDF page, very similar to the hyperlink to external page. If you have a PDF, rather than simply uploading the PDF and trying to link to it, if you create this page type and link it that way, it again becomes a page in your menu that you're easily able to keep in a folder and reference whenever you need to.
Hmm.
And then a rotating page. What was it you said about this page earlier before we were starting?
I've never noticed this before.
I don't think anybody, I can't remember last time I saw anybody use this page. But let's say you have 3 or 4 pages and you want to display them, I don't know, once a day, a different page shows up. You could do that with this.
Hmm.
Frankly, I don't. We used to have a lot of rotating things. We used to have rotating banners in the banner editor. We may still. I'd have to go look. We used to have all sorts of rotating things that we don't have anymore.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's the quick run through. The ones you're going to use the most often are the responsive page, probably,
Hmm.
I would think, at least 75 or 80% of the time. And these are just super simple. So, you end up with this nice canvas. You've got different block types. You drag those onto the page. You build the page. You can preview it in different device sizes, et cetera, and so forth and so on. You've got all the page settings, and we've been through this in other ones, but this
Yeah.
is the one you're going to use the most often for common pages.
Hmm.
Back to page editor. Yes, I want to leave.
Leave.
And then We're not going to ever use advanced pages. Catalog link page is the one you'll probably use the second most often.
Hmm.
And where did I put it? There it is. So this is where you can, and I'm going to skip some of the basics. Give it a page title, put it in a folder, make it active or not, start and end dates, etc. But you'll most often use this third selection, and this is where you go through and say, I want to pick a particular category, whatever that particular category is, electric bikes, and I want only items on sale. I want them only from a certain brand. I want within a certain price, et
Hmm.
cetera, and so forth. And that way, it's kind of like a pre-search. You decide what's going to show up ahead of
Yeah.
time, and then when people click it, that's what they see.
Hmm.
And then let's see. The Google Calendar, I think it gets used sometimes, but this is just
Hmm.
again, give it a title, pick the time zone you want to set in, put it in a folder, and then in these advanced settings, you can decide a few other things, but then once you start this, it gives you the next page up where you actually connect your Google Calendar and explains how to do that. And there's
Hmm.
videos in the help center as well for that. The event page, I think I still see these a fair amount, but
Okay.
essentially you just do the same thing. But when you let's go ahead and just do it. When you save these changes, then you can add these subsections. So is it just a paragraph where you just want to type some stuff? Is it a single date event or a recurring event?
Mm.
And then you can just add the events as they go. And if they're recurring events, then they show up and stay there. And if they're single date events, then they leave the page once the date passes. So pretty
Mm-hmm.
handy.
Now I remember. I was like, I don't think I've ever used these, but I was like, no, I have used that one.
Yeah, I think I see Google Calendar pages a lot, but most of them I see are empty. People set them up, and then I guess they don't. I don't know, but I see a lot of empty Google Calendars. So if you're going to
Yeah.
bother doing that, at least use a calendar you're already using on a frequent basis, or
Hmm.
or commit to that.
Yeah.
Form pages. I guess we're going through every one. It seems like. So
We
form
lied.
pages, exactly what they sound like. You just set those up with the. You set those up with the. Oh, by the way, here's a good point. So you can encrypt these pages. So if you don't want the information going back and forth to be as easily accessible by nefarious individuals, you can encrypt that. But please don't use put credit card information in
Mm-mm.
these pages. It's
Mm-mm.
it's not that they're not secure; they are. They're SSL encrypted, but that doesn't mean that everybody in your store that has access to page editor can't get in there and see that information. And I'm sure everybody in your store are just lovely people, but it's just a security risk you don't need. So keep the credit card collection in the shopping cart, and then just don't collect credit card information there. And you have two options here. You can save the responses in a database, which is kind of handy for historical purposes, and
Hmm.
or you could do both. You could just have it email the response to a particular email address. Anyway, and then you just set up the questions you want. There's different type radio buttons and check boxes and stuff. It's
Yeah.
pretty handy.
Hmm.
And then let's not go through the rest of. Well, let's go to the PDF page because I don't think really you shouldn't put a bunch of PDFs on your site. They're not particularly interactive or helpful with search. But if you just have
Mm-mm.
to, you give it a name, et cetera, a folder, and then you can go find the PDF or upload a new one
Hmm.
and connect it, and you're done. And that way, it becomes a page that's got its own URL, just like every other page on the site, and it's in your drop downs when you're looking for pages on the site to add, and that makes it handy.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say any of the ones that we didn't dive into, they could just be taken care of with that responsive page.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And even sometimes even though catalog link pages get used a lot, and that's what we
Hmm.
use to create the mega menus and things. Even though they get used a lot, I think more often you see a catalog section within a responsive page because the catalog link is just the catalog
Hmm.
information, whereas the responsive page can have all sorts of other rich information on it and a catalog section with that same catalog information.
Yeah, like the monthly complimentary content that we release. That's usually like that seasonal content.
Yep.
They have it's always broken down for the few different catalog sections with some nice copy. But those are responsive pages. That's a nice way to use those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope that little tour of different page types helped. If you, like Susie and I, look at that and go, I didn't even know that was a thing, then congratulations, you learned
Whoop.
something new. And use those pages if you think they can help. If you need help with them, as always, reach out to support@workstand.com
Mhm.
or call them at 303-527-0676, extension 1 for the first available rep. Please, if you get voicemail, they do try and answer the phone. Just leave the voicemail. They work on a first
Yeah.
in, first out basis. That's the quickest way to get a response. Or
Yeah,
you can
that'll.
You can ping one of us. We're happy to help.
Yeah.
You can
But yeah,
email us.
leave that message. It'll put you in that queue.
Yeah, get you in the queue, first up, first out, etc.,
Yeah.
and so forth and so on, etc. I guess we'll see you later.
I guess so. Bye bye.
Might let the music play longer today.